All right, here we are. It is the day after Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and hello again to my dear friend, mentor, and political extraordinaire. Let's not forget a great attorney, James Auffant. Welcome back, Jimmy. How was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, my Thanksgiving was great. My ice cream was a complete success. Everybody enjoyed it, and even my grandson said, 5 years old, say, "Hey, Papa, you this ice cream is good." So it was an interesting Thanksgiving, and it's an interesting week, and it's an interesting time of the year because even though we think about Christmas, it's interesting that no matter what we do, somehow we find out that politics are 24/7 in our life in the United States of America. It is
Ain't that the
interesting.
truth?
I decided to take this topic today because let me tell you what I found interesting. I caught myself for the first time listening to the Bill O'Reilly's podcast
Oh, interesting.
entitled, entitled Warning to Republicans.
Mhm.
Basically, what he was trying to tell Republicans is what I think everybody's noticing. Look, there is no Republican Party. There is the Donald Trump Party to the point that, give you some of his comments and some of the comments that I've heard from other people. Donald Trump ordered Mike Johnson to keep the House closed during during the uh, shutdown, not because he didn't want to work out the shutdown, but because he wanted to keep the Epstein thing out of the view. We know he changed later his view, and I will explain another reason why he changed it. But this is where some of the Republicans who are in the House are feeling. They didn't do anything for more than 60 days. They
Yep.
were elected to do things that they would help their people. The only big thing that has not been done is a big, beautiful bill, which they all know and recognize does not help the American people, but helps the rich American people. They've also realized that what Donald Trump's agenda is revenge. He had Connie charge. He had the Attorney General of New York charge. Talk about politicizing the Department of Justice. When a Republican tells me that, I say, "What are you talking about? This is not the first time. This is like the seventh time in the last uh, 50 years that this has happened." And people will go, "Really? Yes, it has." And for those of you who do not remember this name, look it up. John Mitchell, Attorney
Yes.
General
Attorney
under
General.
under Richard Nixon, who ended up in jail
Mhm.
because of Watergate and all the funding issues with the campaign. So if you think this is something new, not really. Ah,
Mhm.
but the Republicans are feeling the bite right now. I'm going to run for Congress for what? I'm going to be told what to do, when to do it, to shut up. I don't have a voice. That is frustrating. Look, believe it or not, for those of you who do not understand politics, I'm going to make it simple. The MAGA Make America Great Again thing has always existed, but became a movement after after the first election of Barack Obama.
That's correct.
Whoa!
Party.
It became that the night that he was elected, there was somebody who went on social media and used, I think, the terms, "I want my country back."
Mhm.
Okay. It is for those who want to make America not great again, they want to make it white again. These
Mhm.
are the ones who are against immigration because they realize right now, in this country, you cannot find a TV program, a movie or even a TV series that is not participation of African Americans and Hispanic in not token numbers, but large numbers. Okay. As a matter of fact, it's kind of interesting. The other day they had this thing on YouTube with Wednesday and the man who portrays her father, and they're both Puerto Ricans. So half of the Wednesday are Puerto Ricans, and her mother is Mexican. So of the four main characters, three are Hispanic. So this is what has them concerned. They want to go back to the days when uh, African Americans cannot own business, the days when a woman cannot have a bank account, had to have it through her husband, the days where uh, you could build a neighborhood and say, this is only for Caucasian persuasion only people, white people can live in here. Those days, that's where they want to go back to. Uh, was the economy better? No. Are you going to say that in the 50s, 60s, the economy is better than now? No. There was a middle class and the rich controlled everything? Yeah. There's a middle class now and the rich control everything? Yeah. That has not changed since the turn of the century. So that is not where they want to go. Uh, do they want to go back to when there was not cell phones? No, we'll keep the cell phones. That we want.
Sure.
Do they want the tablets and the computers? Sure,
Mhm.
that's good for the the American Great Movement. Is stop pretending. It's of the days where the whites controlled this country, and the African Americans and Hispanics were there as a minority. Nowadays, the way it looks, I could take Orange County. You take Orange
Okay.
County, if you put the African Americans and the Hispanics together, Orange County is a minority majority county.
Yes.
Okay, as simple as that. And you take parts of Florida, and it is the same. So when we keep saying "Make America Great Again," that's it. The other thing is that the people who, what I like to call, want to America take care of America and nobody else. Like I don't know if you ever uh, saw that movie Head of State.
No. Is that with Michael Douglas?
No. This is the one I uh, trying to remember the name of the comedian. I'm not sure if it was
Eddie Murphy?
no. Past after anyway, where it's an African American running for a president.
Let me see. Head of state. Oh, wait a second. There's a movie, Head of State 2025, that's coming out, but then we're talking about the 2003. Oh, that would be, I got to check this out. This is Chris Rock.
Yeah, right. I couldn't remember who exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, and his opposition used to say, and this is a very MAGA statement: "God bless America and no other place." That was a statement made there. That is a very MAGA statement. America first, America only. We don't need to get involved in this. Like, for example, when you have Marjorie Greene criticizing Trump for trying to get into war in Venezuela, for trying to get into the war in Ukraine, for getting in the war in Israel. That is the isolationist offer. We don't want to be involved. The closing down of USA, yes, we don't want to give money to anybody else. We will keep that money for ourselves. What they're stupid enough is not to understand that this is the money that they use to buy influence worldwide. It's not that they're really trying to help the countries. This is what they use to buy influence. But the MAGA movement is dividing. They're starting to realize that Donald Trump is not MAGA. Donald Trump is a corrupt politician, like everybody that they've been trying to criticize, who tried to hide Epstein, who deals and with countries that give him money. that is easily influenced, and that he has no desire whatsoever to go back to the period that they want. That they
Okay.
realize that his even saying that he's deporting people is not really working, because he's not deporting anybody in substantial numbers. He's just making noise and going from city to city to take out 200 and 300 people, and that's not going to make a major difference. There is where they're frustrated. And even more frustrated is that they're starting to realize that they've been lied to. Prices of food not going down, prices of gas not going down, prices of rent not going down. Everything he said he was going to fix, he hasn't touched. So yes, it's not that the MAGA movement is cracking. Is that the support of Donald Trump from the MAGA movement is crushing. Look, and the
Mhm.
thing, Marjorie Taylor Greene, yes, I've heard everything about her. She did this so she could collect her pension. And no more power to her. I don't have a problem with that. That she's made some money while she's been a U.S. congressman. All of them have. So I don't have a problem with that either. My
Sure.
problem is that she says a couple of things that are true. Because of the way Donald Trump has handled these two first years, where he has not improved the economy, where he's not improved deportations, where he's not improved relations with other countries, and where he hasn't done anything for the middle class at all, has cracked it that they lost Virginia, they lost New Jersey, they Tennessee next Tuesday. They might win
Mhm.
by 2 or 3 points, but they should never win that district in Tennessee by 2 or 3 points. They should win it by 22 points. But it's that close. It's significant. Uh, the other elections that nobody's talking about, there was a state senator in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. You can say,
Okay.
well, Jimmy, what? Who cares about Lancaster, Pennsylvania? Well, let me tell you this way: Lancaster, Pennsylvania, has not elected a Democrat for Senate, for State House, for U.S. Congress, and not voted for a Democrat for U.S. Senate or
Wow.
governor since the Civil War. Okay? Since the Civil War. Over
Hmm.
a
It's a lot.
150 years ago. So when you say,
Right.
oh, wait a minute. So why is he bringing this up? Because they just elected their first state senator, not narrowly, by 14 points. It's my understanding. By 14 points, a
Mhm.
Democrat. And some MAGA people are blaming Donald Trump for this. Donald Trump is living in a
Absolutely.
bubble, that he thinks that everything's okay, that the Republicans are doing fine, that the problem is that he was not on the ballot, that if he's on the ballot, they're going to win. Well, you know what? They lost in 2020 with him on the ballot. Did he carry some of these people? Yeah, he did.
Sure. Yeah.
But there also is concern, and this is something I understand about Bill O'Reilly that I think is worth mentioning. One thing that independents and some Demo- even Democrats voted for Trump for was because they saw him strong on the economy. The
Correct.
economy is bad. The economy is weak. The dollar is weak. People are not do not make enough money to pay to support themselves. The economy is not the perception. The economy is bad, and Donald Trump has made it worse. So it's not what I'm trying to say is going to to disappear. No, 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 no. Look, there's two groups, a movement here that are not going to disappear. As much as some people want them to, they're not. MAGA's not going anywhere, and liberals are not going anywhere. Sorry, they're not.
Right.
We
That's
have to
true.
deal with them. Uh, uh, what MAGAs are starting to see is that Donald Trump was not the savior that they say seen. What they've seen is that Donald Trump is getting revenge and making money, and the rest of the matter does not care to them. And one more last thing that I found interesting from another MAGA that I saw on the internet. There's a very little reported incident on there that one of Trump's advisors as to the Ukraine situation,
Okay.
who was on the payroll of Russia, called Russia and said, "Hey, this is what you need to tell Donald Trump. If you present it this way to him, he will back you guys." Stupid enough that that came out. Why
Wow.
would an envoy who's supposed to get peace in Russia and Ukraine war is telling the Russians how to manipulate Donald Trump? And that's what he was trying to tell. This is the way you manipulate him and that. But the comment was not that. This was the comment that I found interesting. He says,
Okay.
Donald Trump has surrounded himself by people who have learned how to manipulate him to get him to do the things that he wants. And they gave
Sure.
Marco Rubio's example. Marco Rubio, as a senator, always wanted to go to war with Venezuela for years. He wanted to go to war with Cuba for years. And Ron Paul, Senator Ron Paul, said, I was surprised that he got appointed to Secretary of State with that track record. But I'm not surprised because he's learned how to manipulate Donald Trump.
Mm.
That came
Wow.
from Rand Paul. That doesn't come from Jimmy O'Brien. That came from Rand Paul, a state senator, Republican from Kentucky. He doesn't trust Marco. And he's saying that what this thing of the drug things and stuff like that, that is Marco putting in the mind of Trump and manipulating Trump to the point that Trump thinks that this is true. He has surrounded himself by people like his chief of staff and stuff like that have learned how to manipulate him, how to get him to do what they want to do. So the truth of the matter is that this is the second time that we have a president in office who's being manipulated by his staff. First one was Biden. This is the second.
Yes.
So for those of you who want to get Brandon, I want to get rid of Trompeta.
Jimmy, in regards to
Yeah.
Rubio in Venezuela, there seems to be an escalation in Trump's plans to have some type of action in Venezuela. This speaks against the whole MAGA, no forever wars, no needless wars. Why are we getting involved in Venezuela like this? Now, yes, drugs is a problem. Illicit drugs, more certainly. And I would think the cartels in Mexico would be more of an issue than, say, Venezuela. If this is something that Marco Rubio is strongly for, wouldn't you think that Trump, and being very loyal to his base, or in appearance, would give second thoughts to any type of escalation against Venezuela?
Let me answer that to you the way he answered it. In Donald Trump's mind, they are loyal to him. He's loyal to no one.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say, wouldn't he be loyal to the MAGA? I don't think he understands fully the MAGA movement. And this is not a put down. I don't think, because most people do not understand it. Most people think they're crazy people who basically want to go back to the white days where whites control. That is part of it. They don't want wars with other countries. They're isolationists. They don't want to give money to other countries. They're isolationists. As a matter of fact, they want to make government as small as possible that you can flush it down the toilet. That is a statement that they've made, not me. That is the MAGA movement, okay? And what he did is he realized that these people did not have a leader. They really didn't. uh, and he just took and said a couple of things that would excite them. And to be fairness, in his first term, he did not start any wars. He did not do anything like that. So they sticked with him. Now that's what I'm saying. They're splitting from him because they're realizing he's not a MAGA. Look, going to war with Venezuela is crazy. The only
Crazy.
reason that Rubio is pushing it is because he's Cuban, and Cubans are against, for some reason that they understand, they're against who they consider communists. They consider Maduro a communist and things like that. And he has created a lie. Is there drugs coming out of Venezuela? Maybe. And I'm going to say that a big maybe because the right next door they have the cartels from Colombia that don't take too much competition. Okay, let's call it as it is. They do not accept much competition. Now that drug might come from Colombia into Venezuela, out. Yeah, they use different sources. They go through
Sure.
Panama. They go through the minute. Yeah, they go through everywhere. The problem is that what we don't want to discuss is there is a demand in this country for that supply. We don't deal with
Sure.
that one here.
Sure.
We don't. We want to stop it from coming on, and like we could do that. It's again the appearance that we're doing something to that, and the drugs is the excuse to try to invade. But let's get this clearer. There's a $50 million reward, which any of the 280 some generals in Venezuela can say, "Hey, this is a lot of money. Let me take in Maduro and get it." They haven't dared. There's a lot of people in Venezuela who don't like him, but has not been able
Right.
to take him over. Uh, it's interesting that this sounds like Bin Laden, that there was an offer for $50 million too for almost
Yes.
10 years, and he was not caught. Okay. And I'm going to say this. Somebody, a spy found out where he was, and then they sent in the troops. But realistically, nobody ever collected that reward. Uh,
Right.
the truth of the matter is that Rubio wants to ingratiate himself with the Cuban population of this country, that he ended communism in the America hemisphere. Look, I don't. I consider Maduro a dictator. I do.
Mm.
Strong hand, yes. He stole the election, definitely, definitely. But
Okay.
I'm going to take it from the perspectives of MAGA, who is our theme of conversation today. MAGA does not want a war in any country. If he's a dictator,
Right.
if he's a drug dealer, that they don't care. They do not want wars. And it's kind of interesting that not only has this been, but right now, the number one reason Donald Trump is not being considered for peace Nobel Prize is simply because he's about to go to war. How can you say, hey, we're going to give the Nobel Prize for peace to somebody who's thinking about going to war? It doesn't make any sense. So
Right.
that was the number one reason. Now, having said that, you have to understand that this is the evidence of how easily he's manipulated. He's doing things that piss off MAGA. He
Right.
decided on his own. This one is on his own to block Epstein. Supposedly, somebody came in. Pam Bundy came and said, "Don't worry, I'll use the excuse that he's still in the investigation, so I cannot release all this stuff. Plus, if push comes to shove, I will delete all the information about you out of here. So don't worry." The other thing that was kind of interesting was that somebody came up to him and said, "Look, you don't need to be embarrassed. Right now, it's going to go to the floor, and it's going to be voted in, and it's going to be voted in the House by a great majority, and in the U.S. Senate.
Yes.
U.S. Senate, since it's not something budgetary, it's going to be also passed. You vetoing it will create a chaos within the community. Just let it
Yes.
go through. Let them send the same stuff they sent before, and everything will be fine. So it's not going to be anything else than prove how easy Donald Trump is manipulated. People go to the White House and say, hey, here's a couple $1,000,000, take me off the terrorists. Okay, you're good. Here's another couple of $1,000,000, do this. He has no interest in making America great again. He's done nothing to do anything. Does a beautiful bill make America great again? Not really. Doesn't do anything. Has he done anything to really deal with what they consider a problem, which is election laws? But they didn't even do anything about that. So realistically, that the second thing they're starting to do is to realize that they didn't win with the MAGA vote. They win with some Democrats who voted for Donald Trump and the famous independents, who sometimes they're 12 or 14% can swing a vote. And us as political analysts know that. So basically, yes, when Marjorie Taylor Greene said, hey, I don't want to be in a house where they're going to impeach Donald Trump, I will be honest with you, that is a matter of serious offense. Even when Marjorie Taylor Greene, Miss MAGA, realizes that the Republicans are going to lose the House in 2026, and she doesn't want to be in that House in 2026, that should tell you something.
It does, Jimmy. And, to put this in perspective, for me at least, this administration is 10 months in. A lot has gone on. A lot. I mean, the president and his administration hit the road running. How does the opposition capitalize on this, and more importantly, able to sustain the arguments that will lead to the opposition regaining the House and perhaps the Senate in 2026?
Well, I could tell you how, but you're going to laugh.
And let me preface this. I just saw an interview with House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries speaking to Fox. Oh no, the New York Times editorial chief, if I remember correctly, and saying that the Democrats are broken. So that was not good news for the opposition to hear. But go ahead, Jimmy.
Both parties are broken.
Yeah,
I hate to say that. They both. If we think that the MAGAs are still in love with Donald Trump, they're not. They're starting to wake up that he was and all talk and no walk. He could talk the talk, but he cannot walk the walk. If you're going to ask me how the Democrats are going to win, their great campaign manager is going to put in a silver platter for them. Their great campaign manager is going to establish why the people should vote Democrat. The great campaign manager of the Democratic Party for 2026 is the one who's going to make inroads to show us why we need to vote Democrat. And the great campaign manager of the Democrats is going to turn out the independent votes for the Democrats. Now, the question is, I've said the great Democrat campaign manager, and everybody's wondering who I'm talking about. But you're not. The great campaign manager for 2026 for the Democrat Party is named Donald J. Trump. He will fuck it up in such a way that he will say, hey, Democrats, here's a silver platter. Take over. Take the House. Take the Senate. Because I fucked it up. I've been stealing money. I've been doing all this. I've been doing all that. Look, he's lost Marjorie Taylor Greene. He's lost Tucker Carlson. He's lost Reagan. Joe is against him now. Okay. Bill O'Reilly is saying that the way the party is walking right now, Bill, O'Reilly. Okay,
Yeah.
let's get this clear. It's saying they're going the wrong way. People in Nations News, which is a Republican outlet, are also criticizing it. The people at Fox News are trying to accept that their surveys say that the people in Tennessee might elect a Democrat to the House. Okay, but this is the other thing that uh, people do not know. Here's the other issue that is going to be interesting. If you think that the only person who's going to quit or not run for re-election in 2026 is Marjorie Taylor
MTG.
Greene, it's not it. It's going to be about 25 to 26. Then you're going to have to find people to replace them. Go to primaries and go as crazy to the right and get the endorsement of Donald Trump. And those people are not going to be incumbents, are not going to be safe, and they're going to be, many of them, in purple districts, which, if the Democrats find a good candidate, they will go there. Look,
That's
they've been
another
trying to
issue.
call the Democrats liberals. Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, that they're soft on crime and woke. You could do that. This is the campaign I would run.
Okay.
Republicans, all they care is about themselves, making money, putting it in their pocket, being corrupt, and not delivering to the middle class. They've done nothing to bring down the prices of food, of gas, of housing, or anything. They've only protected the rich. They are the establishment that you wanted to get rid of us is the Republican Party.
So affordability.
The establishment that you have really wanted to get rid of is the Republican Party. That's why MAGA is starting to get away. They don't see the difference between the Republicans and the Democrats that they were promised. They don't see
Okay.
it. As a matter of fact, I had somebody say the other day something that is very interesting. Both parties are corrupt. Yeah, they have a point. Have the Republicans delivered everything that the MAGA's people want? No. Have you delivered anything? No, not really. Because at the same time, this is the thing that I find interesting and hypocritical about the Republican Party. Okay?
Okay.
And I learned this from a MAGA person, and to my surprise. And I will admit this. And Stephen, I appreciate your comment. Had never thought of it this way. They've had 10 months into being in office. You said it.
Yeah.
There is no project to deal with healthcare, which concerns the MAGA people. They want their health. Believe it or not, they want health. Okay?
Yes.
There has been no project, zero serious project of how to deal with immigration. Deporting people is maybe to them part of the problem. Fixing it. Right now they're against people who come in here and buy their way into this country, which is still legal under the current immigration laws. We all
Sure.
know that. Okay? As a matter of fact, the president used to joke about it and call it the gold card.
Right. That's true.
Okay? It still exists. Then you have people in this country that basically, as far as they're concerned, they want them out because they're not Christians. Okay?
Mm.
None of that has been dealt with. Okay? And they do not see that the American uh, Make America Great movement has been addressed any of their issues. So when people say, why are MAGA leaving the Republican Party? Because they see them for what they are, bullshitters. Yeah, we're going to do something, but they haven't done anything. Look, right now,
Mhm.
Stephen, I appreciate it. You're right. They control the House, they control the Senate, they control the White House. They passed a big, beautiful bill. They screwed us with a continuing resolution for funding, but they haven't passed a bill on immigration. They haven't passed a bill on health care. And by the
Yeah.
way, they don't want to fund Obamacare because it's Democrat. Okay? Not because it's a bad law. Can it be improved? Every law can be improved.
Yes.
But,
Yes, it can.
but have they funded that? No. What have they really come up with with a plan? Look, Marjorie Taylor Greene said it. She's been in the House since 1921, and she's never seen a Republican health plan. She's seen people
That's true.
criticize the existing one, but there's no substitute.
That's
So
true.
MAGA is leaving the Republican Party because they see them for what they are. They have been played by Donald Trump and all the others, saying that yes, we're like you, and how is a billionaire like the average American? It's always fascinated me, but he is. And other than that, they are starting to realize that's why they're leaving. They're seeing that the Republicans are part of the establishment. They are part of the problem. So basically, thinking that the Republicans are their solution, no. As a matter of fact, let's not forget, the Republicans party is a party of Abraham Lincoln and of Martin Luther King.
That's true.
And it doesn't look like it right now, at all. At all.
But Jimmy, we're talking about the MAGA portion of Republicans. They're not going to go and become Democrats.
No.
So where do they go?
They're going to get, if possible, a real MAGA person to run for president. Right now, they don't have him because
Right. Okay.
Ranto's not a MAGA. Rubio is not a MAGA. And most MAGA of them all could try to run, but he's not going to make it. Steve Bannon, Tucker Carlson, they're not going to make it. So, okay. And that's why I keep insisting that, like it or not, they're going to run Marjorie. They are.
Wow.
Because for all practical effects, there's nobody in that right now in the party that is more MAGA than her. You could criticize her. You could call her crazy. And I will accept all the criticism you want to make. But at least I will accept one thing. She reminds me of Mondami.
Really?
Yes. And let me tell you why. Mondami ran as a social democrat. He never heard it out. He has his plans, and people call him crazy, and people said that cannot be done, and la la la. And that. Okay. Marjorie Taylor Greene has said she's MAGA. She believes in isolationism. She believes that we should not be in any wars in any countries. She believes we should not give aid to any other country. She believes we should get rid of illegal immigration. And she thinks that the Republican Party should come up with a health plan.
True. That's very true. And she was in support up front with the victims of the Epstein case towards the end. She was out front saying, release the files. So that too adds to her resume.
And most MAGA people recognize her as a MAGA. So if you could ask me, are they going to go with the Republican, with the Democratic Party? No. Marjorie might run as MAGA. And if she's elected, she will be the first MAGA president ever elected in this country.
First female president.
First female president, but the first MAGA president. Because Donald Trump is a hypocrite. Donald Trump is a liar. He's used the MAGA movement. He can care less about making America great again. He cares about putting money in his pockets. That's all he cares about. He doesn't care about anything else.
But Jimmy, I see J.D. Vance being more MAGA than Trump. and I see him as being in the top tier of candidates to replace Trump and to replace Trump not just as president, but also to lead the MAGA movement. I would think that was one of the reasons why he was chosen
No,
to be Trump's vice president. Oh,
no,
he wasn't.
no,
That wasn't one of the reasons.
no,
No.
no. Uh, Trying to remember this. He first criticized Trump. He said
Sure
that
did.
Trump was not a MAGA.
Sure
And
did.
basically, during his tendency as U.S.
Senator.
senator, he was not that well known or liked. He was taken
Sure.
in because he was the person that was with their head further up Donald Trump's ass than any other of the two, and basically he's become his puppet. And the fact is that right now he says what Trump wants him to say, and he's killing his career.
Mm.
Look, let me put it this way: everybody thought that Pence would replace Trump, and now people don't even remember his name.
That's right. That's very true. That's very true.
Uh, everybody,
Jimmy.
everybody thought that Kamala was going to replace Biden, and she lost big. So let's
Right.
stop. Vice presidents being elected president. I'm going to ask you if you remember which was the last one that happened.
Gerald Ford? No. No, it wasn't
No,
Gerald Ford.
Ford was not
It
elected.
was Speaker.
He
That's
was
right.
speaker, and when Spyro had to quit because he was arrested, not that there was any corruption in that administration. Uh, then he appointed Ford as vice president, and then when he quit, Ford got elevated, not elected,
Right.
elevated to president. No, that wasn't. It wasn't.
Oh man. Ah,
And for the record, Richard Nixon was the vice president of Eisenhower, and he lost the first time around.
that's right. That's correct. That's very true. That's correct. I'm thinking hard. And I'm going as far back as Thomas Jefferson.
No,
Wait,
you don't
wait a
have to go
second.
that far back. Wow.
Okay. Roosevelt? No. Which Roosevelt?
No,
David Taft? No.
no. I'm going to give you a name and see if this triggers it. Ronald Reagan.
George W.
Bush.
Not George W. Bush, but George Senior. Of course, David. And then but he didn't serve a second term because we have William Jefferson Clinton defeat him.
Well,
That's
that
why.
and if we forget about Perot, who was the independent guy who got 13%.
Oh, Ross Perot.
Ross Perot. Period. Perot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Ross Perot
Right.
put Clinton in office. I'm sorry.
That, Jimmy, going back to the opposition's messaging, um, the Trump administration has been successful in at least 22 or not 22, 2 million self-deported or deported individuals, despite there still being approximately what 20 million individuals here who have questionable status, residency status, legal status. um, Again, the Trump administration can say as of this day, it's about 10 months into this. You have to give us some time. Um, what would the opposition say differently or do differently, but to continue a lot of these policies, like the immigration policy right now by executive order, and other policies that have been put in place, like the deconstruction of the Department of Education, or the complete um, deconstruction of USAID. Well, where do the Democrats move from there? Do they
Well,
say we bring it all back?
no. First of all, in 2026, you have to know how to do your campaign. You're not electing a new president. So even if they win the House and the Senate, the executive will still be a Republican. And basically, at this point, the fact that he has tried to eliminate the U.S. Department of Education and USAID, that's not. It's not a campaign issue that's going to get you elected. I'm sorry. That's
True.
that. What would their platform be? Very simple. We're going to fiscalize and make sure that people do not make money while they're in here. We're going to find a way to say to the president that without our authority, you cannot declare war on Venezuela. We're going to tell you that without the authority of the U.S. House and Senate, you're not going to be able to give away Ukraine. And by the way, we're going to do something to defy you. We're going to fund money to Ukraine with weapons to see and put it in your pocket that you have to veto it and tell American people that you're against Ukraine and go that route. The thing that I would do, this is very simple, and I've been saying this for years, and I'm going to years again. People of the United States of America, are you paying more for food? Who promised you that they were going to drop the prices? Did they drop the prices? Do you feel that your economy is better now than 2 years ago? But yet you voted for somebody who was going to improve your economy, which was the Republican Party. Did they? No. Did they pass a bill that would help you with anything? No. They passed a bill to help the rich and the powerful? Yes. People of the United States, is gas more expensive than before? Yes. Then which was the party that promised you that they were going to reduce the price of gas? Them. By the way, are your taxes more, less, or the same? If that's the case, then who do you have to blame? Is the federal government serving you effectively? Yes or no? If your answer is no, then who do you have to blame? The Republicans. Look, everything that they promised you, they have failed you. And if anything, everything's more expensive. If everything that they've done has not improved your day-to-day life, uh, bombarding boats in Venezuela is not making you safer or anything like that. Using scare tactics against Hispanics is not making you safer, anything like that. So basically, at this point, what benefit would you get for voting Republican? Paying more money? Yes. Look, I agree with everybody. There's two issues about politics. Everybody, all politics are local.
Yes, it is.
Two, it's about the pocket. Stupid.
Affordability.
So instead of thinking about the U.S. Department of Education that nobody really cares about, thinking about U.S. aid, who really nobody cares about, who uh, mobilizing the National Guard and the cities that it's been nationalized, that might motivate the people to vote you against you, so you don't even have to mention it. But
Right.
oh, you mention it in Chicago, say, look what they brought us here. You mention it in Los Angeles, look what they brought us here. And Washington, D.C. is going to vote Democrat anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much. So realistically, the question to all of us is a very simple question. Did they keep their promise? And the answer to that is no. So why are you going to reelect somebody who lied to you and all they're doing is now is putting money in their pocket and making and running? That's why I keep saying that Donald J. Trump is the best campaign manager the Democrats have. Bad economy, the party in power pays the price. Always has, always will. That's a given. And if you think that the economy is going to get better next year, no, it's not. It's not.
Mm.
And if you go out to the street and ask the average person, do you think that the economy is good and solid? They're going to tell you all the stock market is very few people participate. And even those who do, I have less than 10% of my money in the stock market. You have less than 10% of your money in the stock market. So if the stock market goes up and down, it doesn't really matter. And the participation I have in stock market is what I inherit from my grandmother. which is Pepsi Cola mostly, and Pepsi Cola is owned by the Chinese. And people don't know that, but Pepsi Cola is owned by the Chinese. So that is the truth. The economy will be their campaign.
Oh, definitely.
Shootings, look, shootings come and go. If there's something that we've learned that is sad about this country, is that you could kill kids, and it really doesn't have an impact in national elections.
It's
So when people tell
unfortunate.
me what happened in Washington D.C. is going to have an effect, not in Washington
No,
D.C. I can tell you right now, not in Washington. They're not going to vote for Trump because of this guy. That's not going to happen. Okay. So realistically, if anything, it shows that, by the way, his administration updated this young man's visa. And by the
that's
way,
right. It was given, he was
he
given
was,
asylum.
and for the record, he was here legally. He was an advisor in Afghanistan. This is not somebody
Yes.
who came in over the border or was last name Martinez Garcia Rodriguez. No. This was somebody who. Oh no. Wait a minute. I hide no thing. Their thing. They go to Hispanic markets. They go to where Hispanics are, and they're deporting Hispanics. This bullshit that they're making America say by deporting people is bullshit. I'll call them out. I'll call out the fat guy in Washington, D.C. He's a racist. He's anti-Hispanic. And I'll call it to his face. They are targeting Hispanics. They're not targeting. Look, they're not going to the Russian mafia. It's not being deported. The Italian mafia is not being deported. There's Canadians and other people here who do not have papers. They're not being deported. And with all due respect, through the border of Hispanics of the South is the one that everybody bitches about. Nobody bitches about the one in the North, and much less the West or East, because we keep forgetting that people come through our ports, East and West.
Airports.
Yes. As a matter of fact, like I've always liked to tell people, Disney helps people to get visas to come from Europe and South and Central America to come and see Disney. They get them to get tourist visas. They get tourist visas and they never go back. That's the truth of the matter. And there's a lot of people who enter this country legally. They just overstay their welcome. So when people say, "Oh, no," they came in legally. They just overextended their. But
correct.
That is the sad part. That basically, right now, the campaign is going to be about the economy and local. And with all due respect, when you see the MAGA people running away from the Republican Party, and Republicans like Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, "I'm out of here." Look, for those of you who say that Marjorie made some money while she was a U.S. congressman, yeah, and if she had stayed a couple of more years, I will guarantee you that instead of being worth $25 million, by the end of next year she would be worth 35. So let's
5 years.
Well, hey,
5 million a year. 5 million a year, Jimmy.
but she had a lot of influence in the MAGA movement. As a matter of fact, we all know that. As a matter of fact, she was one of the people responsible for taking out McCarthy. We forget that.
That's true. That's true. That's very true.
So
I remember during the vote, her, Matt Gaetz, and Boebert. Yes. Bobbitt. Yes, Boebert. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right.
When people tell me what is the why do I think that MAGA is moving away? Because nothing's been delivered to them. I agree with, if you listen to her speech, she believes in MAGA. She really does.
Oh, yes, she does.
I think it's crazy. You might think it's stupid. That part I'll let it up to you to debate. But that she believes in it, yes. As much as Mandami in New York believes in Social Democrat. You might think he's crazy. You might think he's the wrong person, or I'll accept all that. But I consider them the two most purest in their ideas. One is a Social Democrat, and the other one is a MAGA. They're opposites, yes. But at least I give them credit because they've never tried to pretend, like Donald Trump, to be something that he's not.
Jimmy, real quick, affordability. We both agree. Main issue going into the midterm election. Does this past government shutdown And maybe we have another continuing resolution that has to be resolved at the end of January, because this shutdown was resolved up until January 2026, the end of January 26. So another shutdown may be looming. Does this past shutdown play into that whole of affordability issue and also the 2026 election, seeing that we have short memory?
Depends. It could.
Okay.
Let me put it this way. I think the six senators from Democratic Party were played, and they need to listen to what they were promised. They were promised that there will be a vote on the Senate floor, and that vote will go down, and it will go nowhere because they don't have the majority. If the American people continue to have to pay more for their health insurance month after month after month after month, yes. If the cost of living continues to go up month after month after month after month, yes. It's going to be what I call the downhill of the Republican Party not understanding affordability, what it means. When you are paying more for health insurance, when you're paying more for food, when you're paying more for gas, and the party in power says, hey, everything is hunky-dory, everything is fine. We kicked out 2,000 more immigrants a week. All the Hispanics are leaving, and they're self-deporting themselves, and they're going and leaving the country. Look, that is not going to work at all. Right. It is all about the economy. Look, there's a high percentage of the American public who have health insurance. And it's not only Obamacare that's went up. It is private health insurance that's going up.
Right.
And that's people who work for Orange County government may be told next year, hey, instead of $125 every 2 weeks, is going to be $185. That $60 is going to mean a lot to them, and they're going to know who is responsible for it. So yes, there is where their problem with affordability is going to be. That everything is going to be more expensive. Not that it's going down. Not that it's the same. It's that it's going to be more expensive. So if it's more expensive, I'm predicting today, November 28th, that the Republicans will lose 43 seats in the House.
43 seats. Okay, we've got that. 43 seats. I'm going to write that down, Jimmy.
See how close I come.
Okay. Number 28. GOP.
Since you brought up part of the fuck up of the week, I'm going to start with the Democrats. Recently, Jeffries had an interview with the New York Times.
Yes, sir.
And the New York Times brought up the fact that the Democratic Party is divided.
Mm.
It is. But it's divided because none of the reasons that people think. I don't think it's moderates versus liberals. I think it is those who are try to remain in control and who would cater to whatever they have to cater to stay in control, and those who want to see the party go forward. Look, it's kind of interesting to say that the Democratic Party could get rid of all the progressives in the party. They wouldn't have a party. So when you say there's a division, I don't see a division. Moderates, a lot of people like to use that word. But when you sit down to talk to them about issues, they can be liberal about some issues and conservative about others. And that everybody is. Nobody is 100% to the left or 100% to the right. It's kind of interesting, but basically there is no more liberal issue than not wanting to be in war. It's always been one. But MAGAs have taken that over as is their issue. There is no more liberal issue than uh, being open to the public about criminal activity. Then, no, there is no more liberal issue than freedom of speech. And right now, MAGA is trying to control that one too. So yes, there is. Jeffries did not know how to handle that conversation at all. He really didn't. He showed that the shoes are too big for his feet. He's not
Mm.
ready to be the leader of the Democratic Party in the House. He really does not know how to control that group. He's like Schumer there because of reasons that nobody understands, but cannot control his party.
Yeah.
Schumer just lost senators who voted for the continuing resolution against his mandate. Okay,
Yes, sir.
he did. He doesn't have the power there. So right now, to say that the Democratic Party is divided, no, Democratic Party's never been divided. What I would say is never been united. We vote on issues. We vote on people.
Right.
Look, there were some Democrats who even voted against Obama. There were
True.
Democrats who voted against Kamala.
True.
And there were Republicans who voted for Biden because they didn't like Trump. Simple put. So let's stop pretending that the party is not divided. It's always been divided. There's me, the liberals. There's you, the moderates. There's me, the person who believes and completely a party should be floating and this. And there's people like Schumer and Jeffries who think it should be controlled with a strong arm. Uh, the Democrat Party has never been controlled by a strong arm. The last person who did that is a friend of yours from your home city, Mr. Daley. He
That's
controlled
correct.
that party with a strong arm.
Thinking the same.
Other than that, it is not a party that can be controlled. But a party that if you give it motivated, it comes out to vote. So Jeffrey does not know how to motivate the party. That is the problem. Motivating this party is relatively simple. Telling the people that basically we're going to go back to our roots of helping the middle class, helping the poor, helping everybody, and that this is a party of inclusion, no exclusion, the party of inclusion, and that we
Mm.
can work with you to reduce your cost of living, to reduce your cost of government. So basically, yes, make it simple. Let Donald Trump run our campaign. He'll do a great job. Uh, that's it. Now let's go to the fuck up of the week of the Republican Party. It's a little bit different than what you might expect.
Okay.
It is the result of Marjorie Taylor Greene resignation. It showed that there's a crack in the MAGA. It showed that, contrary to popular belief, the Republican Party is not as united as you try to pretend it is. No, Donald Trump, you cannot shoot anybody in Fifth Avenue anymore, and they're going to follow you blindly. As a matter of fact, they stopped 2 months ago when you fought them on the Epstein file. They fought you back like I have never seen the MAGA people fight you back. And it was not only Marjorie, it was others. As a matter of fact, there was many of those in the House who said that they were going to vote for it. As a matter of fact, it was one of the most bipartisan votes was the Epstein vote in the since you've been elected president. But it is showing that finally, what Tucker Carlson's been saying, what Joe Reagan has been saying, what Bill O'Reilly has been saying, what some of the people in Newsworld have been saying, what some of the people in Fox News have been saying, the Republican Party is not receiving anything that the MAGA and the Republicans want. You have a president who told the Speaker of the House, you are going to maintain the House closed until I tell you to do so. Has never been done by a Democrat. It's never been done by a Republican, but it was done by Donald Trump. Once they lose the House, I can guarantee you that the Speaker of the minority is not going to be Mike Johnson. It's going to be somebody else because he's going to get blamed for the loss of the House because Donald Trump is not going to take that blame. But, have said that, we have cracked one thing. It shows that the advisor to Ukraine war sat down and took 5 minutes to tell the people of Russia how to play Donald Trump, how to manipulate Donald Trump so he would back their plan against Ukraine's plan. The only thing I can think of shows how corrupt the republics are and shows something that I've never thought I would say. Are the Republicans in bed with the Russians? I mean, telling these people, this is what you need to tell Trump so you can get him on your side. You're helping the Russians. You're not helping any. You are helping the Russians. Is this the new Republican Party? If that is, it is. That is the fuck up of not the week, but as far as we go, might be the fuck up of the year, which is coming up next month. By the way, we will give you both of those, and those will be losers. So that is something that you would have to do. And by the way, before I forget, give me an idea of which one you think is the biggest fuck up of the year for the Republicans and which is the biggest fuck up of the year for the Democrats. Granted, we're 1 month away. They still have a chance to fucking it up better than they're fucking up. Give me a suggestion. Give me an idea, and I will try to follow it.
Oh, I'm going to put that all over our socials and elicit comments and suggestions and recommendations, and that year roundup we're going to have.
I'm just saying, it looks like something that we could do. With that in mind, I hope that you enjoyed your Thanksgiving, that you ate a lot of turkey, and that you are now thinking about a diet, but forgetting that Christmas is around the corner and you're going to gain weight again, and then make the promises for the new year of losing weight in the new year, and by February forgetting about your resolution altogether, just like the good Americans do. So, with that in mind, subscribe, like, dislike, comment, and for the record, give me a suggestion. If you think of something you think you would like me to talk about, I'm here. That's what I want to do. So with that in mind, I will see you all next week. Enjoy your week. Take care.
Thank you, Jimmy. We'll see you next week. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you Monday.